Before we begin, understand this: what you are about to hear is not a story many textbooks fully tell. It is a story of disappearance, of silence, and of a crime so vast that an entire people were almost erased from history. What happened to the Armenians during World War I was not an accident of war. It was planned. It was executed. And for more than a century, it has been denied. If you believe the truth matters, stay with this story until the end. The Armenian Genocide stands as one of the darkest and most deliberate crimes ever committed against humanity. In the early 20th century, Armenians had lived on their ancestral lands for thousands of years, scattered across eastern Anatolia. They were farmers working the soil, merchants trading across borders, priests preserving ancient faith, and families raising children on land their ancestors had never left. Yet under Ottoman rule, they lived with a constant reminder that they were outsiders, Christians in a Muslim empire, tolerated but never equal. As the Ottoman Empire weakened, fear consumed its leadership. The empire was losing wars, losing territory, and losing control. And when power begins to crumble, leaders often search for an enemy within. Armenians became that enemy. They were accused of betrayal, of secret alliances, of plotting against the state. None of it mattered whether it was true. What mattered was that these lies prepared the ground for mass murder. Long before 1915, Armenian blood had already soaked the land. Between 1894 and 1896, under Sultan Abdul Hamid II, Armenian villages were raided, homes burned, churches destroyed, and families slaughtered. Men were executed in public. Women and children were left starving. The world protested, but no one intervened. And in that silence, the Ottoman leadership learned a dangerous lesson: there would be no consequences. In 1908, hope briefly returned. The Young Turks seized power, promising equality and a new future. Armenians celebrated, believing the nightmare was over. But behind closed doors, a different vision was forming. Nationalism replaced reform. The dream of a homogeneous Turkish state took shape. And in that vision, Armenians were not citizens, they were a problem to be eliminated. When World War I erupted, the empire collapsed into chaos. Military defeats humiliated Ottoman leaders, especially against Russia. Once again, Armenians were blamed. They were branded traitors, accused of aiding the enemy. These accusations became the final justification for a decision that would destroy over 1 million lives. On April 24, 1915, the genocide began, not with gunfire, but with silence. Armenian intellectuals, priests, journalists, and community leaders were arrested in Constantinople in the dead of night. They were taken away, tortured, and murdered. Their only crime was being Armenian. With their leaders gone, entire communities were left defenseless. Soon after, the deportation orders came. Armenian families were told they were being relocated for their own safety. It was a lie. They were forced out of their homes with minutes to prepare. Men were separated from their families, marched away, and executed in fields and ravines. Women, children, and the elderly were driven on foot toward the Syrian desert, toward death. What followed were death marches unlike anything the modern world had seen. Endless columns of starving people moved under the burning sun with no food and no water. Children collapsed on the roads. Mothers were forced to leave their dead behind. Ottoman guards and armed gangs attacked the convoys, looting valuables, assaulting women, and killing anyone who could no longer walk. The roads became graveyards. Those who survived the marches reached concentration camps like Deir ez-Zor. These were not camps meant for survival. There was no shelter, no medicine, no food. Bodies lay unburied in the sand. Disease spread unchecked. Entire families disappeared within days. Armenian towns, churches, schools, and cemeteries were destroyed, as if the people who built them had never existed. The world knew. Foreign diplomats sent urgent reports. Missionaries described piles of corpses and rivers filled with bodies. Newspapers wrote about extermination. Governments issued statements of condemnation. But no armies came. No borders were opened. The killing continued in full view of the international community. By 1917, Armenian life in the Ottoman Empire had been nearly wiped out. Between 1 and 1.5 million Armenians were dead. Survivors fled across deserts and seas, carrying trauma that would shape generations. The Armenian diaspora was born not by choice, but by survival. After the war, justice never truly arrived. A few trials were held, but most perpetrators escaped punishment. Some vanished into new governments. Others lived out their lives freely. The newly formed Turkish state denied the genocide ever happened, rewriting history and turning mass murder into a political debate. For survivors, denial became a second crime. This genocide became the blueprint for future atrocities. Adolf Hitler himself would later reference the Armenians when questioning who still remembered their destruction. The term genocide was later coined by Raphael Lemkin, inspired directly by what happened to the Armenians, because he understood this was not chaos, but calculated extermination. Today, Armenians around the world remember the victims every April 24th. They light candles for the dead, speak the names of those erased, and fight to keep the truth alive. Because forgetting is exactly what the perpetrators hoped for. If this story shocked you, it should. If it disturbed you, it was meant to. History does not repeat itself by accident, it repeats itself when crimes like this are ignored, denied, or forgotten. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, make sure you subscribe to this channel. These are not just stories, they are warnings. And if you stay until the end of each one, you'll hear the truths that history tried to bury. And remember this as you leave: over 1 million people vanished, and for decades the world argued over whether it even happened. The real question is not whether the Armenian genocide occurred. The question is how many more tragedies will happen before humanity finally learns to listen.